Hey, what's up, stock compounders? Brad here. So, Bill Ackman is at it again. Most of us heard, I'm sure, about one of the greatest trades in modern history back in March when Bill Ackman bet against corporate debt. He bet that corporate debt defaults would rise. He saw what was happening with the pandemic, in China and thought, this is not going to be good for the US, not going to be good for businesses in the US. And he made out like a bandit on that bet. I think he spent about 27 million on insurance against the credit spread widening, and it paid off in the first month. So he put about 27 million down, and it paid off 2.6 billion. So it was almost 100x gain from that bet against corporate credit. And it turns out he's basically making the same bet now, okay, that he made back in March. He sees we're going to have a new president in the White House. We're coming into flu season. People have been dealing with this pandemic for so long. There's a bit of fatigue in terms of, just being strict about, basically being smart about not spreading things around and sheltering in place and all of that stuff. And with this news that there's a potential, vaccine coming out sooner than a lot of people expected, Ackman is looking at all this and thinking, all right, people are going to loosen up here, and this thing's going to get out of control. And so, he's making this bet that there's going to be a shutdown, businesses are going to be defaulting, and there will be this widening spread in the corporate credit markets. So, and he says here, I hope we lose money on this next hedge. Back in March, initially he thought, well, maybe we should sell off a bunch of our stocks, a bunch of our equity positions. But that, he really didn't want to do that. So he decided, well, what if I just make a small bet that things go south, and I can kind of make a very high, very asymmetric reward to risk bet. And then I don't have to do anything with the equity positions. I can really capitalize on this corporate credit debt. So, corporate credit debt bet. So basically, the new bet that he's making is about a third of the size. So he's going to be paying about $8 million each month. And obviously the payout depends on how bad this gets, how big the spread gets. If it's similar to last time, it's last time we made 100x. So again, it would be similar. It'd be 100x, but he's making about a third the size of a bet. So, 8 million a month, he stands to make 800 million if this thing acts very quickly like it did in March, if he times it very well. So keep in mind, guys, 8 million a month. So he's betting 100 million a year, right? That's kind of what he's on the hook for, 100 million a year. The size of Pershing Square, there's like 11 billion assets under management. So, it's only 1% of the fund each year that he's committed to with this bet. So keep that in mind. If you get excited about this thinking, oh man, I missed it in March, I'm going to back up the truck for this one. I need to bet against, corporate debt. Be careful with that. You got to keep it in perspective. He's only betting kind of 1% of the fund annually on this play. So I'm going to link to this article. It kind of gives a good overview. But you guys, my favorite resource for going into this is Corner of Berkshire and Fairfax. There's a thread on it that just popped up Bill Ackman betting lightning strikes twice. Okay. And there's, about 20 comments on this. Really smart investors. So if you guys want to explore, how to take advantage of a potential betting against this corporate debt, there's some good ideas in here in corner of Berkshire and Fairfax. It is a membership site. It costs $23 US, $30 Canadian, I believe, for a lifetime membership. So, it's pretty reasonable. Really good stuff in here. There is one play on this that I've been researching, and that is buying puts on HYG. So HYG is an ETF for corporate bonds, corporate high yield bonds. And buying puts on HYG would mean I would be betting against HYG. So that's one potential way for retail investors to get in on this action. Because like this guy says here, where does he say? It's difficult to do what Ackman is doing unless you run a big fund, right? So the way for retail investors to do it, potentially buying puts on LQD or HYG. There's a few other things in here that you can explore, but definitely check out the conversation on corner of Berkshire and Fairfax. But it's really interesting, guys. Obviously, Ackman got a lot of flack, but he got a lot of attention from this bet back in March that things would go into lockdown, that a lot of businesses would struggle because businesses are fragile. If you're forced to shut a business down for even a few weeks, a lot of these businesses have very tight margins, and it's very difficult for many of them to survive even without a couple weeks of revenue. So, like I said, hopefully Ackman is wrong on this one. Hopefully we're going to be able to coast through the fall and winter, in the U.S. without any major disruptions. But Ackman thinks the likelihood is high enough that he wants to have some bet in place where if things tank, at least he can see some upside from that in the portfolio. So just wanted to bring this to everyone's attention. It's something I'm going to be watching closely. Like I said, I will link to the Financial Times article in the description. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of this new bet by Bill Ackman. Can he do it twice? Can he do it twice? Anyway, guys, just wanted to share that. Let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.